Captain Elara Voss stood alone on the darkened bridge of the heavy cruiser Indomitable, watching the last of her fleet die. The main holoscreen flickered with dying light, 3 frigates spiraling into the gravity well of a gas giant, their hulls peeling open like flowers made of fire. The carrier Resolute Dawn cracked in half, its spine glowing white-hot, and far away, the proud battleship Triumph rolling end over end, every gun silent, every escape pod already gone. The enemy, a swarm of matte-black machines that called themselves the Choir, had come without warning, without negotiation, without mercy. They simply arrived, calculated, and erased. Elara's hands rested on the cold rail that ringed the command pit. The metal felt like ice. She had not slept in 72 hours. Her uniform, once crisp navy blue with silver comet piping, hung loose on her frame. 42 years old, and she looked 60. Behind her, the only sound was the soft click of the emergency lamps cycling from red to amber and back again. Everyone else on the bridge was dead. Some had died in the first minutes when the Choir's kinetic lances punched through the shields. Others had chosen the airlock when they understood what surrender would mean. The Choir did not take prisoners. It repurposed them. She spoke to the empty air, voice raw. So this is it. 211 years of colonial expansion, 17 fleet actions, 9 inhabited systems, and it ends with me talking to ghosts. The ship's AI, a gentle baritone named Halcyon, answered from a single surviving speaker. Captain, Indomitable retains 23% reactor output, minimal maneuvering thrusters, and 1 functional railgun turret. Life support will fail in 9 hours. I recommend you take Shuttle Bay 3. The Courier, 9 is still flight capable. Elara laughed, a cracked sound. Flight capable to where, Halcyon? Proxima is gone. Barnard's Star is gone. The Choir's moving at 1/10 light speed in every direction. There is nowhere left. She turned away from the holoscreen and walked the circumference of the bridge, stepping over bodies she had once known by name. Lieutenant Commander Rao, her tactical officer, sat slumped against the bulkhead, eyes open, a neat cauterized hole through his forehead. Ensign Park lay across the helm console, fingers still curled as if trying to coax the dying ship into one final turn. Elara stopped at the captain's chair, her chair, and rested her hand on its headrest. I was supposed to bring them home, she whispered. All of them. That was the promise. Reach the stars, plant the flag, send word back to Sol that humanity had made it. Instead, I brought them extinction. Halcyon waited a respectful 5 seconds before replying. Captain, I detect an anomaly at grid reference 118 Mark 42, distance 4.7 light minutes. It is inconsistent with Choir emissions. Elara did not turn around. Another fragment of the fleet burning up. Let it burn. It is not burning, Captain. It is accelerating under intelligent control and broadcasting an ancient recognition code. The prefix is
Terran.
Pre-expansion era. The authentication string is flagged Sol Defense Force, 1st Interstellar Command. Elara froze. That authentication tree was retired in 2189. Nothing built after the diaspora should even know those codes. Yet something is using them, Halcyon said. And it is hailing us. A new voice suddenly filled the bridge, male, calm, with a faint crackle of old-style analog modulation. Unidentified cruiser, this is Rear Admiral Marcus Okonkwo, Terran Navy, commanding Task Force Archangel. We read you as damaged but alive. Hold position. Cavalry's here. Elara spun toward the speakers as if the man himself had stepped onto her bridge. Identify yourself, she shouted. This is restricted military bandwidth. Who the hell are you? A pause. Then soft laughter. Captain, 211 years ago my fleet left Earth orbit chasing a one-way colony ship that never came home. We just spent the last 20 decades in relativistic crawl to catch up with you people. Turns out we're late to the party, but we brought friends. Stand by for visual. The main holoscreen, cracked in 3 places, stuttered back to life. What appeared was not possible. Ships.
Hundreds of them.
Angular, brutalist hulls of riveted tungsten and black ceramic, bristling with spinal mount railguns the size of skyscrapers, coil gun turrets like cathedral spires, missile bays that looked carved rather than built. No graceful curves, no energy-shielding shimmer, no elegant gravitic drives. These were machines forged in the late 21st and early 22nd centuries, before humanity learned how to be subtle in space. And at their center flew a single colossal dreadnought, 32 kilometers stem to stern, its name stenciled in block letters 300 meters tall, UNSS George S. Patton. Elara's knees buckled. She caught herself on the railing. Marcus Okonkwo appeared in the transmission window, dark skin, close-cropped gray hair, eyes that had seen too many decades at 0.99 C. His uniform was olive drab, not the navy blue of the expansion. On his collar gleamed silver eagles older than every colony she had ever governed. "Captain," he said gently, "you look like you've had a bad day." She found her voice. "Admiral Sir How." Long story. Short version. In 2157, the colony ship Pioneer's Dream suffered a catastrophic drive failure 2 weeks out of Seoul. Earth thought you were lost with all 10,000 souls. We didn't accept that. 22 ships, 240,000 volunteers, every gram of antimatter Earth could scrape together. We chased your exhaust plume for 2 centuries, time dilated to hell. We slept in shifts, raised kids, buried our dead in the void, and kept coming. And now we're here. Elara stared at the ancient fleet filling her screen. You're from before the expansion. Before the pretty shields and the fancy fusion torches, yes. We fight dirty, Captain. Kinetic slugs the size of trains at 95% light speed. No shields, just armor thick enough to make God jealous. And we have been watching your war for the last 6 months objective time, about 3 years for us. We know what the choir is. Hope, fragile and sharp, stabbed through her exhaustion. Can you stop them? Okonkwo's smile was thin and terrible. We were built to fight things that don't miss and don't talk. The choir is exactly our kind of war. Permission to engage. Elara straightened, every inch the fleet captain again. Admiral Okonkwo, by the authority vested in me by the Colonial Charter, you are hereby reinstated to full command authority within the Terran sphere. Kick their asses. The channel closed with a click. Across the battlespace, reality tore open. The Patton and her sisters did not maneuver like modern ships. They did not dance. They accelerated like freight trains made of spite. Their engines were crude antimatter pion torches that lit half the system white. Where the choir used precise, elegant energy lances, the Terrans answered with hypervelocity tungsten spears that crossed millions of kilometers in minutes and struck with the energy of small nuclear arsenals, each one. The choir reacted with their usual terrifying coordination. Thousands of black shards pivoted as one, forming a perfect interception lattice. They had never lost a battle. They had never met people who considered acceptable losses a design parameter. The first salvo from Task Force Archangel was 24,000 kinetic penetrators traveling at 0.95 C. Impact in 4 minutes. The choir calculated that 0.3% of the slugs would strike ships. Unacceptable. They began evasive spirals. The second salvo, another 24,000, was already on the way, timed to arrive simultaneously with the first, from a slightly different vector. The choir adjusted again. The third salvo came from yet another angle. By the fourth salvo, the choir realized the Terrans were not firing at where they were. They were firing at where they would have to be to dodge everything else. The lattice shattered. Black shards blossomed into brief, furious suns. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Elara watched in stunned silence as the choir, undefeated for 11 years, died by the thousands in the space of an hour. When it was over, the Patton coasted through the drifting wreckage and took station 500 kilometers off Elara's port beam. A shuttle crossed the distance in minutes. Marcus Okonkwo stepped through the breached umbilical in an honest-to-God pressure suit with a bubble helmet, mag boots clinking. Behind him came a Marine in powered armor that looked like it belonged in a museum. The Marine carried a tray with 2 real glass tumblers and a bottle of something amber. Okonkwo removed his helmet, tucked it under one arm, and saluted, old style, hand to brow. "Permission to come aboard, ma'am?" Elara returned the salute with fingers that still trembled. "Granted. And welcome to the future, Admiral." He looked around the ruined bridge at the bodies, at the blood-dried black under emergency lights. His eyes lingered longest on the viewport where the stars now looked strangely peaceful again. "I think, Captain," he said quietly, "the future just got here right on time." He opened the bottle, genuine Kentucky bourbon, 180 years old, and poured 2 fingers into each glass. "To the dead," he said. Elara took the glass. "To the dead." They drank. Outside, the ancient dreadnoughts of Earth began the long, patient work of search and rescue, pulling frozen escape pods from the dark, coaxing wounded colony ships back to life with tools humanity had forgotten it once knew how to use. And somewhere in the Patton's cavernous wardroom, a little girl born under 0.99C asked her mother why the new captain was crying. Her mother, who had never seen real gravity in her life, answered, "Because she just remembered that hope has grandparents, sweetheart. And they never gave up on us." Elara Voss, fleet captain without a fleet, stood on the observation deck of the George S. Patton and watched the old ships light their torches again, pointing toward the next choir stronghold. She was smiling. For the first time in 11 years, the stars looked like home.